Okay, today CoST publishes its new guidance note focused on the applicability of CoSTs in crisis settings. I'm joined by co-author of the note and technical advisor for CoST, Hamish Goldie-Scot, as well as Gracia Ramirez, manager of our CoST program in Honduras. And first of all, Hamish, could you give some background to how this guidance piece came about?
Yes, certainly. The need for the guidance became clear in the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, when emergency procurement procedures in some countries lacked clarity or accountability. At the same time, the experience of other countries showed just how much can quickly be achieved if government is prepared to work closely with other stakeholders in pursuit of a shared objective. And it's just such transparency and collaboration that lies at the heart of the CoST approach and is relevant in any crisis context, including following natural disasters or conflict.
And indeed, CoST has experience of working in challenging settings, having been established during difficult times in countries including Afghanistan, Ukraine, Thailand, and Honduras. Gracia, could you outline some of the challenges that faced CoST Honduras in 2014 when the programme was initiated?
Way before 2014, we had Hurricane Mitch that resulted in around 7,000 fatalities in the country and damage and destroy infrastructure. And although the hurricane took place in 1998, the reconstruction process took several years. And until 2014, we still had a couple of Bailey bridges due to the limited fiscal capacity of the state. And the fact that Honduras is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world, like climate change speaking, it makes us very vulnerable to have indirect or direct impact of tropical depressions and storms and hurricanes. And the country's infrastructure is always a situation of vulnerability and difficult to rebuild infrastructure in a sustainable and resilient way. So also in 2009, there was a coup d'etat that affected the democratic civic space. And in short period, the elections were organized and the democratic light were returned, but level of polarization became extreme, and to the point that in 2014, we still had much doubt and mistrust in the function of real democracy in the country.
So despite the plethora of challenges that you've outlined, the programme was established and since then it has flourished. It has been one of the first CoST programmes to establish an online data disclosure platform for both public and private infrastructure projects. It won a 2016 Open Government Award, and it's published reports which have led to concrete actions such as the removal of corrupt entities. What has been key to ensuring the challenges you mentioned were overcome?
So first, the value of a government champion. Back in that time, we had Alfredo Cantero, who was a key lead to advocate the importance of the initiative across all government, including ministers and even the president. And he was not only a person that planned the Honduras application to join CoST, but also kept working with the initiative and encouraged the MSG and the technical staff to go above and beyond. And second, I think we had a flexible model. So the MSG, the multi-stakeholder group, tailored the CoST approach to suit context and adapt to different circumstances. For example, during the crisis COVID and the recent hurricane we had 2 weeks ago, we have adapted to a new approach, like a fast track assurance processes, or also we know that the information might not be available on real time. So we kind of be flexible about what ways we can collect new data, or how can we help the procuring entities to disclose this data in other platforms, or we can just check other transparency portals while they update the information on the CSOX platform. So, excuse me. Yeah, I think that's the key actions that have helped us to overcome these challenges.
these steps outlined in the guidance note, of which establishing a champion within government and the endorsement that Gracia has just spoken about, are outlined as part of the CoST approach to being applied in a crisis. Could you explain, using one or two of the core CoST features, the difference between their application in the fast track approach we specify, as opposed to how they would be applied in a traditional CoST program?
Yes, the starting point here, of course, is that from established programs, there's already good evidence that CoST's unique combination of its four features, that's multi-stakeholder working, disclosure, assurance, and social accountability, can give rise to a virtuous cycle of building competence and trust in infrastructure governance, which in turn leads to savings in both time and cost. But in a crisis or post-crisis situation, it may be too onerous to establish a full-blown CoST program from scratch. Instead, what is important is to spot obvious gaps while assessing any realistic opportunities that may exist to strengthen one or more of the CoST features. Take transparency, for example. The CoST ideal is for data about the planning, preparation, and delivery of infrastructure to routinely be made public in accordance with a recognized data standard. That standard has 40 items. But if good data about just 30 or even 20 of these is readily available, it would not be a big ask for it to be made public. In other words, it is always possible to start by doing the basics well. Of course, just because data is disclosed doesn't mean that it will be accessed, let alone understood and acted upon. Within a CoST program, part of the answer here is what we call assurance, whereby an established multi-stakeholder group appoints a team of independent professionals to look at the official data and, based on these facts, to highlight issues of concern. This is not to point a finger of blame, but as part of a joint effort to improve underlying processes and help strengthen existing accountability mechanisms. In a post-crisis context, there may not be the capacity to undertake such an assurance process. But if even the most basic data is available online about, say, the location, the cost, the scope, and the timing of contracts, an experienced professional can access that data, analyze it, and help draw attention to issues or concerns. Such an expert or team of experts may not have any direct connection with CoST. They could, for instance, be in university, maybe not even in the same country.
Now, just looking at another feature, Gracia, the social accountability feature of CoST, which helps civic actors to put infrastructure issues in the public domain. We have seen civic space shrink in certain contexts as a result of COVID-19. Could you outline how CoST Honduras has been supporting its social accountability stakeholders at this time to continue highlighting those issues?
Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have adapted all our activities to the digital format, and we even organized webinars and even held one of our events through Zoom. And we have been also supporting volunteers to keep in touch and continue their training through the Zoom platform, the CoST platform. And despite the challenges, we saw the need to increase the promotion of CSOCs and to keep all users updated. So we didn't lose momentum and they keep monitoring this platform. And we have closely followed the data disclosure levels to ensure that the data is also available for the public and the civil society organizations can access to it and can also monitor all the infrastructure that is being built, even though we still feel like things are a little bit paused or slowly getting back to normal activities. We are also working on creating permanent online courses so people can have access to them anywhere, anytime, and they can start getting a sense of what CoST is, how it works, and without us having to organize some of these. So we're trying to work with one of the universities here so we can put this in our online platform, and any student or even the civil society organizations have access to them. And we are also being invited to contribute, as I mentioned before, or with social accountability feature in the Hurricane ETA response. And we are adapting the approach to the circumstances, as Hamish was mentioning, even asking entities to put minimal data about projects and the key project data information online, so the volunteers can follow up on the reconstruction works. And also we are making sure that they are safe. To secure the safety of our staff and volunteers who will collaborate in these activities.
Thanks to Hamish and Gracia for taking part in this interview. If you would like to read the guidance that we've spoken about, and also to find out more about cost impact in Afghanistan, Honduras, and many other contexts, you can do so by visiting infrastructuretransparency.org.